Hi, this is Niklas from Radiant. Welcome to a new video, and this video will be about creating a Looker Studio dashboard based on your Google Search Console data. And you can see a very simple dashboard I have already created here in the back. And we will basically recreate this dashboard from scratch, and you will learn how easy it is to connect the Google Search Console to Looker Studio and how to set up a very simple dashboard like this, but also with a few tweaks that most people don't know who just start with Looker Studio or haven't worked with it at all before. So you have, for example, a short-term view here, but you can also see like your long-term data of the Google Search Console here at the bottom. And this is something that we will create just now. So I will put my camera here at the bottom left now, and we will go over to the Looker Studio starting screen. And if you want to create a new dashboard like the one you've just seen, at the left you have to click on Create and then select Report. And then Looker Studio will show you a completely blank report, but automatically you will be prompted with different Google connectors. So for example, Google Analytics, Google Ads, but we want to select the Search Console here, obviously. And we will click on it. And as you can see here, I have like my private account here just for demonstration purposes. And here I have a Search Console domain property for RADYANT.io. And I will click on it. And then I have two tables basically that I can choose from. So the one is site impression and the other is URL impression. Basically, you can always use both, but you just have to be aware of what the differences are. So to keep it very simple, if you search for something on Google and your website basically shows two times, so for example on position number 2 and on position number 3. For example, if you're searching for your own brand name, then this would count as a one site impression, because the site impression is always just counted by your domain. So, and your domain is visible. It's a yes or no question. And then you get one impression. But on a URL basis, it's obviously two impressions. So if we want to like basically create query level reports, then we would always go with the site impressions. And if we want to create landing page level reports, we will go with URL impressions. For this video, as we want to create like a very simple, like rather beginner version Google Search Console dashboard, we will go with site impression. And from there, we will select web, as this is the default search type. Of course, if you have a website that is very heavy on Google image search or video search or something, you can also select something else, but this can also be adjusted afterwards. So we will go with a domain, then site impression, and then web, and then basically click on Add at the bottom right here, and the Google Search Console account will basically be connected to our Looker Studio dashboard. And then you will be prompted with this one, and you can say add to report. You can also say, don't show me this again. And then your data source is immediately available in your Looker Studio environment. And to keep it simple, actually, I don't feel that it would be helpful for me to go through all the different like controls here, because it can be a little bit overwhelming, but rather to focus on what's really important for you and how to work with it. So you can immediately see that Looker Studio has created a standard table for us, and that it's already added to the canvas. So this is basically the canvas, but this is something that we cannot really use here. So we will get rid of that. And what we want to do is we want to basically recreate this report. And the first thing that you notice is that it has like a certain theme to it. So it's a dark mode thing, what I personally really like. And if you want to create something like this, you can click on theme and layout, and for example, choose from all sorts of different like pre-made layouts, but you can also, for example, go to customize and create your own layout. So for this particular case, we have selected the constellation layout, and we'll select this from here. And now we will go to add a chart, and we will select a so-called scorecard chart. So the scorecard chart is basically what you've already seen here, and it's always used for, let's say, KPIs. So if you want to, for example, take a look at the clicks for a given period, but just as a like summed up number. Then the scorecard chart is like a perfect chart. So this could be for the clicks for any given period, or the impressions, or the overall site CTR. So the scorecard chart is not for like the view over time, like where you have individual dates. This would be a time series chart like this one. But the scorecard chart is very nice to put at the top at dashboards to have like a clear overview of the most important KPIs. That's what we like to use it for. So then we have this first scorecard chart, and as you can see here on the right, we have all sorts of different configuration options. So we have a metric that is pre-selected that Looker Studio basically just selects from the metrics that are available, and this is clicks. We can also change this, of course, for example, to impressions. So you can see here now that it's changed to impressions, and automatically like the respective data is pulled. And the data is pulled based on the default date range. So currently we do not have a date range selector yet, but this is when the next control comes into play, which is basically add a control here at the top so that we can choose a custom date range control. So we will select date range control here and just add it to the canvas now. And from here we can select a default date range. So the default date range will basically be the predefined dates that will show when somebody opens up this Looker Studio dashboard. So usually, for example, for the Google Search Console, we can take something like the last 28 days or the last 30 days. You can hit apply, and then this is automatically connected to your scorecard charts. So if you would, for example, change this default date range to the last 30 days, please have a look at the impressions card here. You will see that it changes, because it acknowledges the default date range we have configured here. And of course, also, independent of what you've selected as the default date range, you can also, if you are in the view mode, like from the edit mode to the view mode, if you're in the view mode for Looker Studio, you can click on the date range selector and basically just say, okay, hey, I want to look at the data for July, for example, then hit apply, and then the data is populated from your given period. So then let's switch back to the edit mode. And one thing that is generally nice is to have like the most important KPIs here at the top, as I already mentioned. So what we have here is like clicks, impressions, and site CTRs. So let's just hit, I have a Mac Command Control and Command V, and not Command Control, like Command C, Command V, and then put this a little bit to the right here. And then on this scorecard chart, we will basically just select clicks. Then we will copy this again, and then we will add site CTR here. And then just for the purpose of a nice layout, we will stretch this a little bit, and we already have like the first row of this dashboard recreated. So then the next thing is basically this chart, which is a time series chart with clicks and impressions. And here are already like a few really important basic principles of Looker Studio in it. I will show this to you in a second. We will go to add a chart again, and then we will select the time series chart here, and we can just put it below our 3 KPIs here. And as you can see, Looker Studio also pre-selects one of the metrics that is available, which is clicks. And now here at the right, you can see that, for example, as for the dimension, we have our date, which is basically the individual date. And then for the metric, we have clicks. So this basically means that the clicks are split up and shown by the dimension, which is date. I could also do other things, like, for example, show the clicks based on device or based on the search type. But for this video and for this like beginner version, it would be too advanced, but we will do this in another video. But for the moment, this is like what we want to look at. Now, also here, this chart acknowledges the default date range from the date selector. And also if we would change something here, basically this would also populate to this chart. And as you can see here now, we selected 1st of August. Now it also shows the dates from 1st of August. If you want to reset this, you always have a reset button at the top right. And if you want to add, for example, other metrics, like we have clicks, and then we also have impressions here, we can just select another metric. So we can pull in the impressions here besides the clicks. And you can see that we have clicks and impressions added to this chart. But you will probably already note one key difference between this chart and this one, which is that here, for example, we can see the development of the impressions very nicely. So we can see, okay, here obviously the impressions decline a little bit, then here's a spike again, a little bit plateau, declining again, and then it's strongly going up. But for the clicks, we can't really see that. So visually interpreting this data is very, very complicated. Whereas here we can also see, okay, nice, here's a little bit of a decline in the clicks, and then it goes up again, goes down, goes up a little bit, plateau, etc. And the magic, so to say, here is that we have to work with different axes. So as you can see here, the whole range of the axis is now stretched up to 800 because the maximum number of impressions we have per day is, for example, 648, whereas the maximum amount of clicks per day is somewhere around 20-ish. And this obviously is too big of a discrepancy to really see the data of the clicks nicely displayed. What you can do then is you go to this chart configuration and click on style. And then basically series 1 is the first metric, which is clicks. And series 2 is the second metric, which is impressions. And then at series 2, you can basically just go to axis here and then select right. And what happens then is that Looker Studio basically puts the display of the impression data on the right axis, meaning that you can differentiate between big discrepancies in the absolute numbers. So easily said, you can basically just see how the clicks and the impressions develop because you split them up into different axes, the left axis and the right axis. So another key point, what we did here is we wanted to have the impressions as bars and wanted to have the clicks as lines because we think it's more easily visually comprehensible. And to do this, you can just go in here again, the chart configuration and then the tab style and then select bars. And then for the clicks, we also chose to have the numbers here available. So I can I don't just have to look at the axis and say, okay, hey, this is about 20-ish something. Okay, this will probably be 26, but to actually have the number on there. And there, so you have various options, but you can just select show data labels and you will see the data labels here added. If you feel like the color is not so nice, it's not nicely readable or something like that, you can also just change the colors. So Looker Studio has, of course, also color selector. You can add custom colors, but you can also just choose a color from here. So if you like yellow more, you can do that. You can also reset it. Go to the theme and layout, go to the customizer, and then, for example, for the chart palette here, you can just say, okay, I want it to have in yellow first, and the second should be this turquoise or more red, or I don't know, whatever you like most, like greenish, maybe not the greenish, maybe rather the reddish, and this may be a little bit more like this. Yeah, so can't really read it too nicely. You can also then undo it. Yeah, if you think, I rather messed this up, just at the top left, click on undo, then it's put back to the state before. But I just wanted to show you there are various options to customize this. Of course, you can also add a logo here at the top, for example. So I didn't do it here, but if you want to add a logo, so let's say we want to add the Google logo here, but we want to have it like in a white or transparent version because it's more nicely readable, then you can just, for example, search for something and then basically copy the URL of the image and then go to the image here at the top, then click on by URL, enter the URL of the image, and then it's automatically pulled in and you can click on it, click on style, get rid of the border color, get rid of the background, resize it nicely, and put it here at the top, nicely centered. So this can also be done if you, for example, want to create something for a client and your client might be Google. No, just joking, but you get the idea. So then the next thing is the site CTR. So here it's pretty simple. We would just copy this time series chart and we want to align it a little bit more nice. So let's maybe put this like this. Then we can select both, and you always have these like lines that show you if something is centered or how is it aligned. So like this. And then here we can just pull in site CTR, get rid of those, put it in, and then we will automatically see the site CTR, which is really nice, working out of the box. And now we will just make this a little bit smaller to have more place here for our other charts that are about to come. So because in the dashboard we are recreating, we saw that we have this long-term overview. And this is, it's, I would say, still a beginner feature, but it's really nice. And a lot of people, even those that are working with Looker Studio for a while, don't know how to do this. So if you just want to see the clicks and impressions, for example, over a given period of a month, you don't have to like always go in here and then say, oh, okay, I want to see it like from December 2023. And then you have to change everything, and then you, oh man, this is like daily data, I can't really see what's happening there. You can also take this chart, for example, and then do a couple of things. So the first thing is around the dimension, you have a button which says drill down, and you can click on drill down, and then you can see that Looker Studio automatically creates two other date fields, one being year month and one being year. And you can change the default drill down level from date, for example, to year month. And if you watch this chart, you can see that automatically the data is aggregated based on the month level. Now, this, of course, is still connected to these date ranges. So to make it independent, we need another date range control. And we can just simply do that, add another date range control. For example, add it to here, as we did here. And then to be sure that those date range control do not conflict with each other, we just basically take another chart, like copy this, because we also want to have the site CTR first. And then we connect all of them. So basically select all of them, and then with two fingers or like right click or whatever, click on group, and then you can go into this date range selector and adjust the custom date range. So this can be done. Sometimes it's a little bit, you have to do it, double click on it. Yeah, now we have the date range control properties here at the right. And then for the default date range, we say, for example, this year to date. So if you always want to see the data from this year to date, then you can select this. And this is completely independent from the other charts. So if you go to the view mode now, and for example, if we say, hey, how was the data from 1st of August until now? Then we go to 1st of August, and then we look at the data, and then we basically see, okay, cool. So we have strong time like 1st of August in terms of impressions, but now we're a little bit declining. Let's take further look into why this is. But then also you always have this put into perspective about the long-term trends. So how did we do when we look, for example, at January or February or March or whatever? How is it developing over time? And also how is the CTR developing over time? Oh, so CTR is doing quite nicely. Of course, if we have same amount of clicks, but a little bit less impressions. So maybe we have just gotten rid of some irrelevant pages or gotten rid of irrelevant rankings, whatever. But this is just something, so this is a really simple chart, but it basically gives you a good idea about how you can first analyze like short-term data from the Google Search Console, but also always have like a long-term trend in mind, and also have it like visually easily comprehensible. And yeah, so we basically just recreated this chart. We also added the logo here again, and you can see, so I've also explained a lot, but it's quite simple to do, and I hope you had a good idea and got a good idea and have like a good impression on how to get started. So, and I can just really recommend, just get started. Yeah, don't hesitate too much. But if you feel like this is a little bit overwhelming, of course, I also have like something to help you out with. So we have created a lot of different Looker Studio templates for you, and we have, for example, this free Google Search Console Looker Studio template right here, and this is also linked in the description below, so please just check it out. You can get instant access, 100% free. Thousands of marketers around the world are already using it. So if you feel like this is too much for you and you just want something that works with a click, go check it out. This is perfect for you. Other than that, if you like the video, please give a like, subscribe, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I will get back to you ASAP. And yeah, happy working with Google Search Console and with Looker Studio.